Attention crew, this is your captain speaking, Captain Foley here, and I just want to give you a little preamble as to my thoughts on this new Star Trek Beyond movie before it comes out, before I have a chance to see it. Like you, I've seen all the trailers, and I don't really have a firm grasp of what it could be about, but I do want to talk a little bit about my thoughts and things leading up to this. So, just as a heads up for you guys, there will be a full-length podcast with Samuel and myself both discussing our thoughts and having a conversation on what it's going to be about before the movie comes out, and then of course one after the movie comes out, and we've both seen it. So also I just want to say that this video is dedicated to Anton Yelchin, the young man that played Chekhov in the new movies. Very sad incident occurred where he passed away, and I just wanted to dedicate this to him. Both him and Neil Davidson, one of the faithful Trekyards followers who actually joined us in Denver and volunteered at the booth. Very nice gentleman. I'd been dealing with him for years on the Trekyards site, and it was a pleasure to meet him. He took us out for supper. Very gracious, kind individual, and yeah, so this video is dedicated to both of them, and I wish their families all the best, and my thoughts are with them, because it's just makes you realize how short life is, and you got to enjoy things while you can. So anyway, so as I said, I've seen all the trailers. I just rewatched them all again. And it seems to me that the Enterprise is already a refitted Enterprise. It's got the different nacelle struts that, you know, a lot of people had problems with the initial ones. I have more of a problem with the new ones, with the way they are. They're very much more slender, and the way they sweep back, I thought the swept back look would look better, and I think it would if they were positioned a little bit differently and perhaps a bit thicker. Plus, move the engines apart, guys. Come on now. I don't know why they're so close together. Anyway. Big pet peeve about the Enterprise, but I've heard rumors that this is 2.5 to 3 years into their 3-year mission, and it seems like Kirk is kind of doubting himself why he joined Starfleet and his place in Starfleet. He said his father joined because it was something he believed in, and that he himself, Kirk, joined on a dare. But I don't know if he's feeling disheartened about his time on the mission. I don't know if that's prior to the Enterprise getting destroyed. I believe it is. So it looks like, I don't know if the Enterprise starts out in the refit or the Starbase Yorktown or whatever it's called. So the whole chronological timeline of what happens, I'm very unclear on, because editing has a way of really messing that up for you. And the way they edit things together can be totally different than how it comes out in the end. So I don't know if it starts that way, and I know McCoy and Spock and Kirk are standing there, and so you're eager to get back out there, McCoy says, and I don't know when the crisis comes in for Kirk, whether it's before or after that, but it's interesting. And then, of course, the Enterprise, as we know, gets destroyed. Now, I'm assuming that that's probably near the beginning of the movie, based on all the other clips and whatnot that we see. We know, of course, that they do find the USS Franklin on this planet, and it is a very small scout ship. I've seen pictures of it with the landing gear down. It's only like 4 or 5 decks. I've seen it. Everybody's seen the cutaway of it that shows the bridge and where even the motorcycle is located. So, I mean, that's important in a Star Trek movie. So, very small ship, as we speculated when we did our mission briefing on the Franklin, when we got a first glance at it. We were right about the size being very small, and there's rumors that it's an NX class. It looks like an NX class, but is it? Is it really an NX class? We don't really know. Apparently it was the first Warp 4 ship. So if that's the case in this timeline, perhaps it predates the NX class. And like I said, it is so small. Who knows exactly what the story is behind that? Whether it crash landed on the planet, whether the crew from that ship is on the planet or not, it's all very unclear. Now, as I said, the Enterprise gets destroyed by a swarm of mechanical things. They also get boarded, so I don't know what order specifically that happens in. I'm sure they get boarded first, and I don't know why they would just, after they boarded the ship, why they would not just take the ship over. You see them in the corridors and whatnot, unless Kirk sets a self-destruct or something. Because then you see the escape pods launching, you see the ship getting absolutely torn apart, little swarmy ships going through the neck and through the front of the secondary hull, just destroying the ship. And you get to see the saucer crash land on the planet. After Kirk's escape pod gets launched, it turns and you see the saucer. So it's very reminiscent of Star Trek 3 in that respect, which is what these movies seem to do. They seem to mirror the original movies almost in Star Trek. In the second one, we got the Khan thing and, you know, Kirk dying instead of Spock, but the same kind of scene, things like that. So this one, it has the Enterprise entering the atmosphere and going down in a blaze of fire and glory. So very reminiscent of Star Trek 3. I really wish they'd stop doing that. I want them to do their own thing, which I think they are trying to do. And I think now that JJ's not at the helm, no offense to JJ, but he's very good at telling stories, but he tends to retell older stories or tell things from his point of view, stories that have already been done, which I'm not really a fan of. I want to see new stuff, personally. And that was my biggest complaint about the last two movies. But so there's this alien woman with the white face and the black patterning on it. I don't know if she seems to almost belong on the Franklin, especially with the way she sits in the captain's chair. So was she a crew member of the ship? Is she just an alien from this planet? I don't know. Also, who are the aliens that attack them? They look very reptilian almost. And I know they won't be Gorn because the Star Trek video game that happened between 2009 and Into Darkness had the Gorn in it, JJ's version of the Gorn, which it's actually... The gameplay for the game, I actually enjoyed the game, personally. I enjoyed the games more than the movie. First of all, you get to see more of the Enterprise. You get to see what the engineering room should look like in the game, which is fantastic. The Gorns, I think, look great. And so I know that those aren't going to be Gorn in the new movie. So I don't know what race they are, if there's something we've seen before or not. Just reimagined for JJ Verse, I don't know. That's my first thing with it. I don't know who they are or why they want to destroy the Enterprise. All that being said, I don't know basically what the story's about, and that I'm excited about. I want to watch it and you know, and be surprised. I want to know. I don't want to know what's going on. A lot of trailers really give things away. This one, I don't believe has. Like I said, you're not sure when things happen. And like, does the Enterprise get destroyed early on, and then the Franklin gets? I know they end up going to the starbase with the Franklin. I see it zipping towards the starbase. So, do they get a new Enterprise after that to finish the movie out, or to end the movie? Probably, but to finish the movie with the new Enterprise, I don't know. So there's that. Or is it that the Enterprise is around for most of the movie and the Franklin is just their way off the planet? Now, you see scenes where the whole crew is obviously on the planet's surface and have been captured. So they're going to have to come back for the crew because they're not all going to fit on the Franklin, obviously. So I'm going to be surprised, and I like that. I think that's great. The editing for these trailers has been very interesting and fast-paced. Now, I'm hoping that not all the best parts of the movie are in the trailer, because that happens so often with movies, and it's kind of irritating when that happens. You know, you see all the best parts of the movie before you actually see the movie, and then there's nothing to really wow you. I'm not sure that's the case with this one. I hope it's not. Who knows? But yeah, I don't know who the main protagonist is. I don't know even the race of them. I think just knowing that would be interesting going into it. But at the same time, it is nice to be surprised. I think it might be a new race, hopefully. They're kind of reminiscent of the Jem'Hadar, kind of. Meh. So hopefully it's not that, because that would just be awful. Another thing, the warp effect. There's been a lot of talk about the warp effect that we see, where the rippling It's cool. Don't get me wrong. I mean, that's the perfect example of warping space. And a lot of people have made that argument that this is the best warp effect we've ever seen. I agree to a certain extent. At the same time, it seems very fluid, very fluidic, the way that they're... And I don't know if that's... See, it's never really been established about JJ's universe if there are different warp speeds or if there's one warp speed, kind of like a hyperdrive. Now we know that JJ loves his Star Wars, so... And you get to Kronos in a day. I mean, that's awesome. And there's also like this blue corridor that they go down when they're in warp and into darkness. So is this a new warp? That because it's a different effect than in the last movie. Is it a new warp because that's the new Enterprise that you see there with the new struts? Apparently, at the end of Into Darkness, when the Enterprise got refitted, it got a bigger impulse engine, which we saw right away. But apparently, the struts were refitted also. That we just didn't get a chance to see it as much on screen, and even really see it at all. So, is this refit with the new struts a carryover from Into Darkness when it got refitted? Is the movie going to start with that? I would assume so. So I don't think... Now, at the Beyond movie extravaganza premiere or whatever that they had, there was corridors of the ship and there were placards that said 1701A. So I assume that at the end of the movie they're going to get a new Enterprise. I hope it's not the one we see that's going in warp. Because that's very much like the JJ Prize, and I don't like the struts, as I just said. So I'm hoping that they start out with that Enterprise. That's the one that gets destroyed, which is sad for me to say. I've maintained all along that the Enterprise is a character in Star Trek, one of the most important characters, one of the quartet, because you got the trifecta. You got Kirk, Spock, and McCoy, and then you got the Enterprise. They all need each other. The rest of the crew are there, of course, but they're more interchangeable, more side characters. The Enterprise is the main character, and that's one of the biggest problems I had with the JJ Enterprise was that its redesign really ruined the ship for me. I was hoping for something a little bit nicer that I could really enjoy. If I had liked the ship, I would have been overlook more of the technical, scientific mistakes that don't jive with the Prime Star Trek universe or the Prime timeline. So I'm hoping that the new refitted Enterprise that they get at the end, which will be 1701A, which doesn't really make sense, because if you know the history of the Enterprise and how it got its A suffix at the end, it doesn't warrant that if this is only the third year of their 5-year mission. Chances are they would have got a totally new named ship. It wouldn't have been 1701A. Because I don't even know if the Enterprise in the JJ verse, or the Kelvin timeline as it's being called now, which doesn't make sense to begin with, but I won't get into that right now, if it is the flagship of the Federation. I believe it probably is, but then it leads to the whole, why did somebody fresh out of the Academy get command of the ship? That also just doesn't make sense. So hopefully the Enterprise at the end of the movie is something that we can all enjoy and be happy with. Now, as I mentioned too, Anton Yelchin did die, so Chekhov is effectively dead, which is a shame. I don't know if they're going to recast him if they do other movies, or if this is going to be the last movie with this crew in this reboot series, which, 3 movies is good. Let's call it good. Let's wrap it up with something really good. I don't know if they should carry on without Chekhov. To recast him is something that I don't say it would bother me per se, but I think to honor the actor and everything that happened, I think maybe calling this one a wrap would be a good idea. And just, if you want to do more Star Trek movies, just reboot it again and actually maybe give the fans something more that they would appreciate. Now, I know a lot of people like JJ, and don't get me wrong, it's got a lot of great aspects to it. I don't want to be accused of JJ bashing in this video. That's not what this is about. I'm thinking of the future of the franchise and the movies, because it is possible that the next movie they could just not have Chekhov, say that he went to do additional training or something and actually got killed in an accident or something. I mean, that's a possibility, but will they do that? I don't know. I don't even know if they should do that. But I'm kind of rambling. I wanted to talk to you guys about Beyond and how excited I am to see it. I think it looks great with the trailers we've seen. Lots of action, which the first trailer I wasn't really super happy with. Seeing the motorcycle and Kirk flying through the air and transporting and doing all this action stuff. I mean, it's great. It is from the director of the Fast and Furious, so there will be a lot of action and adventure and non-stop kind of pacing, which is cool. So I'm excited to see it. The new trailers really drew my interest, though. They really made me excited to see it, and I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of the motorcycle thing. The first trailer, it was like a big part of the trailer, so I was like, oh, please don't do that the whole thing. Don't do that the whole movie. Have it like Fast and Furious in space, because we don't want that necessarily. I mean, for an action blockbuster and to draw in fans that aren't Star Trek fans, I think that's a great way to do it. And I think JJ did an amazing job with making it a summer popcorn flick, as it were, an action adventure that you could really sit down and watch and not have any prior knowledge of the Star Trek universe. But I guess what I'm just trying to say is that I'm excited to see it, and I'm excited to see how it's going to play out and see what happens. And to be honest, seeing the Enterprise get destroyed is a little bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, because I don't like that ship. But I'm just hoping that what they replace it with is better. But that's just my personal opinion. A lot of people love the JJ Prize, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. And I don't condone JJ bashing. I mean, people are entitled to their opinions. And one of the things we do here in Trekyards is make sure that that bashing doesn't happen. And a lot of people call us out for that. Like, oh, you're too controlling of your posts and whatnot. But we're not. We don't want a negative atmosphere on the Trekyards page. So if there's ways to dislike something, and there's ways to disagree with people that aren't rude or unwanted, let's just be grown-ups. So anyway, so like I said, the Enterprise getting destroyed is a little bit of a guilty pleasure of mine, and I'm sorry. It's just my opinion, but I'm looking forward to seeing how that happens, how early that happens, why that happens, who does it, and then what happens to get the ship replaced. Now, I love that they're using a new ship for most or a part of this movie. I don't know if it's most of the movie or not. I would assume that it kind of is the last part of the movie. First part's probably the Kirk quandary, whether he wants to go back in space and live up to his father and blah 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 and find out who he really is. And then the Enterprise gets destroyed, and there's the middle part's going to be on the planet trying to figure out how to get off the planet. Oh, look, there's the Franklin. Let's get the Franklin up in space, take care of the enemy, get to the starbase, maybe get a new ship to come back for the crew. I don't know how it's going to play out. That's kind of my thoughts on it. I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below, what you guys think. I would love to see all your thoughts on how you think it's going to play out, and whether you've heard anything, inside information about what might happen. I would love to see those in the comments. And then we can, after the movies come out, we can take a look and see who was right and who was wrong and who was close. I think that'd be fun. Plus, there is that podcast with Samuel and myself coming up soon, where we're going to discuss this and bounce off each other ideas. So it'll probably be much more entertaining than this one with just me sitting here. So look forward to that. And then, of course, after the movie, we will, of course, be having another podcast where we talk about the whole movie and how it turned out. So anyway, guys, I think that's it. If you guys have any questions for me, I do live Facebook videos, not regular, like often, not on a regular schedule or anything, but feel free to jump on and ask me a question about anything you could thought of while you watch this video. I hope I haven't bored you. I've kind of been just rambling about not really Star Trek Beyond at all. I thought I'd be more, this is what's going to happen, blah, blah, blah. I kind of laid it out briefly near the end there, my timeline. Hopefully that's the way it plays out, because that's my prediction. Now, it could be that it turns out differently than that and better. And that would be fine with me. I would, like I said, I'm excited to see how it turns out and how they can make it exciting and thrilling for us fans. So excited to see it. That's what I'm saying right here. And I will be seeing it probably opening night or the night before, because the theater near us does a lot of pre-shows the night before. So yeah, anyways, I think that's about it, guys. Like I said, leave your comments, ideas, suggestions, questions, everything in the comment section below. I'll try to answer them as best I can. Maybe I'll just go through the comments in a day or so and see what you guys have said, and if you have any questions for me, I might answer them on there. So, but anyway, guys, until then, this is Captain Foley from Trekyards signing off, and I'll see you beyond.